loud. I can adjust that fairly easily.
Testing, testing. Hello there.
Hi.
Okay, now I
But
need
if you want me to
check.
adjust the audio, it has to happen before the run, because obviously I can't do it mid-run.
Okay, sounds good here. I'm gonna go ahead and swap over to you guys.
Okay.
Nice. Twitch decided to unfollow me from you.
Oh, great.
That's why I wasn't seeing you.
Oh,
We're good
that's
now.
cool. Okay, sweet. Let us know when we're ready to go. Oh God, they can actually hear us. Oh, great. Okay, well, welcome everybody.
Fine, we're in.
Yeah, we're in. We're doing it. Oh, good gosh. Okay, so welcome to Sparkster. This is a very fun game. It's a very interesting game. A very fast-paced game. It's really fun. It's really great. Gonna make for a good run. I got Draco Dan here with me, Sparkster guy, or I like to call him the Sparkster guy because it's kind of the Sparkster guy. Draco Dan, say hi. So I'm not.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? As Luke says, I'm Draco Dan. I'll be trying to keep you company through this game and commentating what's going on.
Yeah,
and
well,
hopefully Luke can put on a good show for you.
Yeah. Good God. Oh, 1 second. I need to turn something off. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So, are we just supposed to... Toko, we just let you know when we're about to start? Or when I'm about to start?
Yeah, so before we got started, I did want to let the marathon guys know, whoever's watching, this run is very important to myself because, of course, Rico Dange ran it for a couple of years. It was in the GDQ, and last year I actually made a donation in honor of my uncle who actually passed away from cancer. Actually after that event, but this run itself has a very special place in my heart. So I'm glad that Luke, you're actually carry on the tradition here at Distant Star Cares to run this game. So Draco, you know how much this run meant to me. So Luke, I hope you can share the share that tradition, keep the Sparkster flame alive.
I'll do my best.
Yeah,
Not to
we
be
shall
sarcastic,
certainly
but-
try to put on the best show that we can.
No pressure.
All right, so as I wipe away the tears here, are you guys ready to go?
I'm ready.
I think we are, yeah.
Okay, so countdown right now. Are we at that point? Toko, you're handling the timer, right? Just want to make sure.
Yes, I've got the timer. And what's up about different game? Did I mess up somewhere? Did I say something wrong?
Huh?
Did you say something wrong? Yeah. Hey,
Lilat said different game, Toko. So I'm not sure what that means.
I mean, maybe he's talking
honestly, I am lagging something fierce. So if I screwed up somewhere, please let me know.
It says Sparkster on the stream, and it says on following games that Sparkster is being streamed, so looks correct.
Okay, never
I think
mind.
Lilac
Okay.
didn't refresh his stream.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, where did I mess up? I'm like, I know I have 2 hours of sleep. I'd be darned if I'm getting this wrong.
I think we're good.
Okay. Ready on timer?
Ready on timer.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Sorry, that was a bit delayed. So this is Sparkster. This is part of the Rocket Knight Adventure series, I believe. Is it called the Rocket Knight Adventure series? Just the Rocket Knight series.
Just the Rocket Knight series. The first game is Rocket Knight Adventures, so it's a
Okay.
direct sequel to Rocket Knight Adventures.
Now, how is this related to the Genesis game, actually? That's one thing I was worried about. The Genesis... So, what I'm talking about, what I'm talking about is the Sparkster game on Genesis, because there was also a port of this game on Genesis. I'm actually curious, what are the differences between these two?
The differences between those two games are actually pretty much everything. Rather than viewing them as ports, they are actually entirely different games. Like, if we want to look at it in the strictest sense, the Genesis one is Sparkster Rocket Knight Adventures 2, and it is a direct sequel. And this game is just called Sparkster, and it's technically a spin-off. But the games actually play entirely differently in terms of some of the mechanics that are in play and the settings of the game, so they're not ports, they're actually original games in themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So I remember the first time I saw you running this was, I believe, at AGDQ 2017. And it was the Genesis game, actually. It was not Sparkster SNES.
Yeah.
which is what
It's
I'm
the
running right now.
Genesis version. So, like, if you watch that video, you'll see it's an entirely different game to the one that's being played now. Like, some of the same assets are used, like some similar graphics, and the soundtracks have a lot of crossover, but aside from that, they are just different games altogether. So, as far as the game itself goes, anyway, if you've seen a Rocket Knight run before, then you'll know that the main form of movement in this series is the rocket boost, which Luke's charging up with the attack key. Like, attack and boost are bound to the same key, and you simply hold it down to charge a rocket boost, and then you can release it in any 8 directions. So that's the quickest way to move around in general, and when not able to rocket boost, then we also want to use the rolling attack, which is exclusive to this game, and it's faster than your walking speed, but you can't spam it infinitely, because there is an extra value tied to the rolling attack called the exhaustion value, and if you use the rolling attack in quick succession 6 times in a row, you'll hit the exhaustion limit and you'll lose control of Sparkster for 3 seconds. So whilst we do want to use it to go faster, you want to moderate it so that you don't ever hit exhaustion, which can be tricky to get the hang of.
Yeah,
But there's
I'm probably going to get
ways
exhausted a
to
couple
mitigate
times.
that. Yeah. There's generally a couple of ways to mitigate exhaustion, though, such as if you land on the ground and walk, it seems to drain the meter a bit faster, but the main method is actually taking damage. If you take damage, it completely empties the exhaustion meter, and you can just keep using rolling attacks. This is going to be used later in the run to damage boost extensively against bosses, so we'll see that when it comes up.
And
But
right
currently-
there, I just had a bit of a mistake. In this stage, there are these rollers that if you get sucked into them, they will kill you instantly. They are my least favorite thing about this stage.
The rollers are one of the couple of instant death hazards in this game. You've got the rollers in this stage, the water in stage 4, if it locks you into a segment, will kill you instantly, and the spike ceiling inside the pyramid in stage 5 will kill you instantly. And the missiles at the start of stage 8 will also kill you instantly. Those are the 4 main instant death hazards off the top of my head.
Well,
But that spot in itself isn't too costly to take a death on, as this game occasionally has like midway checkpoints, and Luke had pretty much just passed a midway checkpoint, so it's not too costly of a death.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad. Honestly, if I had to take a death like that, I would rather it be there than elsewhere.
Yeah, taking a death on this boss, for instance, is quite costly, and I know that all too well. Since the aforementioned run that I'd done last time at this event, I managed to die twice on this boss, as this guy's attacks are extremely random, and if you've been taking damage throughout the stage, then there are pretty much no health pickups throughout the stage, so you're
Yeah.
going to have the amount of health that you have entering the arena, which sometimes can be a good thing, as one element of going faster in this game, you're probably seeing on the screen right now the stage clear screen, and there's 2 values that you get. You get the stage clear bonus, which is always 10,000, and you get the life bonus. The life bonus is greater depending on the amount of health that you have remaining, but if you don't have very much health remaining, then you get a shorter life bonus, which clearly is faster since it takes less time to tick up. So there's a bit of a risk-reward element in this game where you can go faster by fighting bosses with little health, or making sure you end them with little health remaining, which also ties into the damage boosting that I mentioned before.
Yeah, I generally try to end bosses with as little health as possible, but like he said, that boss usually I'm fine to, well, like he said, there's a lot of RNG to it, so, but that time I took a death, so I had more health than usual going into it.
As far as trying to manipulate the random nature of the bosses in this game, as far as I can tell, it's next to impossible. The only extensive work I've done in looking into RNG manip in this game is examining what the task does and what the task notes say, and there are a lot of variables that control boss AI. It's a lot of previously seeded stuff, so in other words, the boss actions aren't decided like as and when they occur, it's based on previous events. And just to take an example, the stage 5 boss, the Desert Worm, the boss's behavior is based on your position as you exit the pyramid, when you exit the pyramid, and even whether you pick up the health pickup that's at the end of the pyramid. All those things influence the boss AI, so it's way too much to try and influence in a RTA run.
Now, this stage, most of it's an auto-scroller. In fact, all of it's an auto-scroller, basically. The only time we have to save, really, is mostly on the 2 bosses that we do fight here, along with an area we're going to call it. It's called the Descent, right? That's what I usually call it.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Which we are starting right now. which mostly involves just a ton of time to boost downward in order to just...
Yeah.
We're faster than gravity. Might as well use it.
Yeah. There is a very minor amount of time save here as well that Luke just got by being in the middle of the screen as that mini-boss section ended. If you're at the right-hand side of the screen, Sparkster gets bounced up slightly before dropping down. It's like a very minimal time save, but since it's free to get, there's no reason to not go for it.
I went for something I shouldn't have, and it kind of screwed me. I did it a bit too early. You'll see in a second.
Ah, man, swagging. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, I tempted it, and I shouldn't have tempted it.
Yeah, that's, that was exhaustion right there, I believe.
Yeah, the exhaustion kicked in, like, just a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this area, you just head to the right. But if you get the swag correctly, you just hover over the bloody pit and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the time... I don't know the timing of it. I was practicing it earlier. Honestly, probably not something I should have been practicing, but...
My personal method of swagging that is to be all the way to the right, and once the bridge blocks basically reach the bird's legs, then you can just jump to the left, and it looks like you're going to fall into the pit, but then you reach the end of the section just before Sparkster lands.
Yeah.
That always looks nice. So, another element of this game is trying to reduce lag. It's probably easy to see on those enemies just there, and on the boss that's coming up here, that the game can cause a lot of variable lag depending on what's going on. This can also drop your inputs.
Real quick, I just got something that can only happen, I think, in this boss. You can die during this boss and still complete the stage, which I just did by accident.
Yeah, that's exclusive to this boss, and it technically gives you the optimal life clear bonus, as I mentioned before.
As there is no life to count down, it just starts at 0.
Yeah, it's actually fairly lenient to get the 0 life bonus on this boss as well, because the death animation is fairly long, and while Sparkster is dead, you can still attack with the energy rings from the bird. So it's quite actually easy to finish that boss while Sparkster's dead, as long as you've dealt quite a bit of damage to that point. So stage 4, the submarine, this is a super technical stage with a lot of corridors, and there's some randomness in play with the steam vents halfway through. But right now, Luke's just going to try and get through these laser barriers. The most efficient way to deal with these is to use 2 rolling attacks and a rocket boost, and that's because these gates have 16 health each. And the way the damage values work is, I haven't really gone into this yet, the sword projectile that Sparkster fires out deals 3 damage, the sword strike itself deals 4 damage, the rolling attack deals 5 damage, and the rocket boost deals 6 damage. So being that those gates have 16 health, if you use rolling attacks, it's going to be a 4-hit kill. But if you get a rocket boost between them, it's a 3-hit kill. And since that section is really laggy, it's very beneficial to shorten it as much as possible. So a bit of a water chasing segment here where you simply just need to get through these mini corridors as quickly as possible before the water catches up. Like, it's fairly lenient, you can afford a few mistakes, but you do need to really pay attention to what's going on.
That's a bit sloppy. So we're going into the boss here. I do not know, does any of these bosses have any names? Any official names?
The first boss is the Golden Knight, second boss is the Assembly Robot, the third boss is, I think, the Caterpillar Worm, and this fourth boss, this guy's Colonel Wolfman.
Yeah, so for this guy, we want to avoid getting hit by his hands as they do 1 full heart of damage. If we get hit by him, however, his main body, it only does a half a heart of damage. So we want to, avoid taking damage in general, but I didn't do it a whole lot here, but generally we try to roll through him and do some damage that way and then boost into him. I was getting kind of nervous, so I was kind of going lenient with the rolls and focusing more on boosts instead.
Yeah, unless you are very confident in your ability to consistently hit bosses, there's definitely no problem in taking it safe, since the midway checkpoints through the stages, I mentioned that there are midway checkpoints, but they're not frequent, so dying on the boss would actually spawn you before the water segment again. So there's definitely no problem there. A particular problem with trying to rocket boost against that boss as well is that Luke mentioned that the arms deal a lot of damage. They also have their own solid hitboxes, so if you rocket boost into the arms, not only will they stop your rocket boost, they'll tend to drag you in, and that can cause a lot of problems in itself.
So here we are on Pyramid. This stage, or I call it Pyramid, that's what's called on my splits at least. Stage is actually not much going on in my mind. It's just fairly basic. There's only a couple things in the end that I'm really worried about, and that's mostly actually those spikes that Draco mentioned earlier that can instant kill me.
Yeah. The stage itself is kind of trivializing a speedrun as we're already halfway through the stage, because the narrow section that Luke was in before is like meant to be a maze where you're supposed to go through multiple segments, but if you just trigger the path switcher twice in a row, it just sends you straight to the mini-boss, and then we can progress to the end of the stage from there. We've got the pyramid skip coming up here. Let's see how this goes.
I didn't get it.
It's a very precise trick, honestly, where you need to boost along the ceiling, otherwise you'll get caught on the spikes on the pyramid. There's a specific setup for doing it, but it is not lenient at all, and it's very easy to mess up there.
Okay, so this boss, I don't know his name either. What did you call him earlier? I forget his name.
This guy's the desert one.
Yeah, this guy can be pretty tricky, at least for me. If you hit his body, he will split into multiple pieces, which can kind of, you know, gunk up the screen quite a bit, because now you got a ton of them running around. I didn't have a whole lot of health going into that, which is kind of bad. Now I gotta replay this area.
Yeah, being down health against this guy is very risky, as this guy takes a surprising number of hits, despite the fact that his health pool isn't particularly large. This guy only has 25 health, but it's for some reason the only enemy in the game to have modified damage values. For some reason, the Desert Worm only takes half damage from your various damage sources, and I think it's rounded down. So in other words, I believe you only deal a maximum of 3 damage, and with a rolling attack it's 2 damage.
Oh, that was way too close. I nearly got killed by the spikes.
Yeah, just the pyramid is not a particularly easy section to play.
First area's fine.
Yeah, that's needing to take an emergency rolling attack to evade the spikes there is not easy at all. Like, I've measured it out with slowdown, and if you need to rolling attack as you are still ascending in your boost, I believe it's a 5-frame window to successfully get out of there.
Gonna play it very safe here. Ah, there we go. Okay. Usually I'd go for rolling attacks against him, but I was on very low health, so I was gonna go for boost attacks only. Generally, that's how it goes. Rolling attacks are very aggressive, but they get you in very close, and there's a bit of a risk to them.
Yeah, and as I mentioned as well, due to the way that damage scales on this boss, rocket boosts end up being 50% stronger than rolling attacks on this boss, so it's not too bad to actually just prioritize using rocket boosts on this guy, as you get a lot more mileage out of them than you do on other enemies where the damage comparison is 6-5 rather than 3-2. And yes, see, it's being asked in the chat, can you only hit enemies once per attack? Yes, that's true. You can't hit enemies over and over again with the same attack. You can try and get them in a position where you can repeatedly attack them, which we'll hopefully see on the Stage 6 boss, which are coming up soon, but there's no guarantees with that. The Stage 6 boss is extremely random.
Yeah, I'd say honestly probably the hardest part of this game for me is the bosses. Movement optimization is a huge thing in this game, just with your boosts and how you time them and what directions and such. That can be, at least for me, is something that I always work on trying to optimize, but I really struggle with the bosses mostly. Some of them are fine, but as you get farther into the game, they certainly get very difficult.
Well, the specific problem with bosses in this run, in a speedrunning context, is when you're trying to go fast against the bosses, you have no choice but to turn it into a damage race. Like, if you just took it conservatively against the bosses and kited them around and hit them when it's safe, then they wouldn't really be a problem, but you'd lose a lot of time doing that. And being that you can inflict a lot of damage by damage boosting in this game, as I say, all the boss fights just end up becoming a damage race. So the symbol section there can be a little bit of a problem, since if you fall into the pipes in between them, they'll just transport you partway back through the stage, but Luke got a fairly clean section there, which is nice.
Yep.
In this section, you want to end up in the 3rd pipe here, which takes you on the easier and faster path. If you accidentally land in the 4th pipe, you can still complete the segment, but it takes you into a corridor which is much harder, and it's a lot laggier as well, so that can be like, yeah, it's just bad. So entering the Stage 6 boss with max health, which is definitely a good plan. Stage 6 boss is the counterpart Black Knight to
Axel
Sparkster
gear,
the Rock
and
Knight.
I just got
gear,
optimal RNG.
Oh, very nice. So we're about to see Luke just get in the corner. Yep, Axel can choose to get in the corner, and Axel can choose a variety of attacks in this fight. such as the kick, which not only goes in the corner, but it only deals half damage, which is very friendly. Axel's other attacks include his normal sword swipe and his spiraling attack, which deal 1.5 of damage, or his flame charge attack, which we didn't see in this fight, but it deals a full 2 hearts of damage. And being that I mentioned before that releasing a rocket boost will reset your iframes, it's very easy to accidentally get hit by that twice in a row, which immediately strips over half your health away. But that was a very favourable fight.
Yeah.
Stage 7 here is a lot of auto-scroller, so we've got a couple of minutes of downtime here.
Yeah, so if there are any donations, then please read them out. But yeah, I guess we could take this time to explain the upcoming boss. Oh my god, this boss.
Yeah, if there are any donations, do that first, and then I will try and explain the boss quickly.
Alright, so at the moment we don't have any other donations, but we raised a very good bit of money, so 616.80 is not too shabby. I want to see if we can get a little bit more than that, but hey, if we don't, I am perfectly fine with that. So thank you very much for all your support, guys. It really means a lot. You guys kicked butt this time.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
So
I'm really glad I was able to contribute in more ways than one. I am running in this event, and I did, of course, donate a bit during the Mario Party run.
Yes, you did. All the licking, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And Lilac made me take the licking off the ticker, so I apologize that being there. Like I said, I'm dragging my feet right now, so I didn't catch that. Thank you, Lilac, for catching that.
So I'm going to try to concisely explain what's going on in this upcoming boss, as there's not too much auto-scroll time remaining, but there is a lot going on in this boss, honestly. The upcoming robot mech duel is probably the most cryptic and difficult fight of the game. A lot of people think that Axel's mech is just a lot stronger and faster than yours, and they die against it very easily, but his stats are actually identical to yours, and the only element of the fight that he's playing better is just that he's more accurate and knows how to exploit the 1-2 mechanic better than the player does. The 1-2 mechanic is something that I discovered while rooting around in memory values. When you punch him either with a left or a right, it deals a base of 8 damage, but if you say miss a left punch and then immediately follow it up with a right, it deals a base of 12 damage instead. And depending on how close it is to your first missed punch, it deals up to 20 damage per hit. Being that Axel's mech has 224 HP, you can kill him in as little as 12 hits if they are accurate and well placed. And Axel just tends to kill the player quickly because he's generally better at landing those hits than the player is. He's basically a task in this fight. And the fight is divided into 3 phases. At 100 to 50% health, it's a random phase 1 where he can just do whatever action he wants at any point. That's the really dangerous phase, which we aim to minimize the time of with 1-2 punches. Between 50% and 25% health, it seems to be a defensive phase 2, where he'll take some charging pot shots at you and then he'll turtle up. And then once he gets below 25% HP, then he's going to enter phase 3, which is his desperation phase, where he just starts a berserk rush, where he just chains left and right punches back to back, and he doesn't stop until you're dead. That's the phase that kills a lot of people casually, or if they're new to running the game, as once they get to that point in the fight, they've probably got little health remaining, and then he just comes at you with his heaviest punches, and it kills you really quickly. So we're going to see how Luke can try and handle this.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be very quiet during this. And
I'm just going to let you focus.
Yep.
Because this is not trivial.
Oh. Ah, dang it.
You get you?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Like, I was watching that. It was a good start to the fight as well, so that's a shame. But yeah, Axel is tough, and yeah, as I mentioned, as soon as his berserk phase begins, you can just see just how quickly the health bar starts depleting. And it's possible for that to happen during phase 1 as well. I mentioned it's completely random. That's one of the biggest reasons why we want to get phase 1 over as quickly as possible, because it avoids any random berserk rushes.
Yeah, if I had to say there was any boss that was my least favorite, barring the final boss, which we'll get to later, this is definitely my least favorite.
yeah, this ain't easy. So round 2, we'll see how this goes now.
In an easy run, this is where the run would end.
Yeah, that's true. Easy cuts out a couple of stages in the run.
Including the final one. This is not good. Oh wait, maybe. Or not. Got it. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
Woo.
That's really good. I was very worried for you there because you're also on your last life here. So
yeah, I am on my last life. So
if
I'm gonna
you've taken a game over there, oof.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna actually do that starting next stage, because the next stage I probably can guarantee. Oops. I can probably guarantee I'm gonna die.
Oh, you taking a tactical game over?
I'm taking a tactical game over.
Okay. That's probably wise on measure.
Because there's a couple things about this stage that can kill you very quickly. I'm gonna let Draco explain it while I'm trying to not die.
Yeah. So, the start of this stage, you just saw Luke die against the missiles coming out of this silo shaft. Although they are, like, beautifully rendered, they are also, I mentioned, one of the instant death hazards in this game. If the missiles touch you while you're trying to stand up in the hole, they will just crush you, as you can't fit. So, it's basically a crushing death, as you know in many video games happens. The other two very dangerous spots in this stage are the two bosses of the stage. We've got the mini-boss and we've got the main final boss of the run, which we'll see once we get to those respective spots. But once getting out the silo shaft, the upcoming section isn't too much trouble, and we should get to the rapid ascent section with the Robot Wolf mini-boss, he is a mini-boss, but he himself is not really a problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a bit careful on him because I want to make sure I have as much health as possible for the upcoming mini-boss.
Yeah. It's definitely worth being careful about how you actually attack this guy as well, because I mentioned the damage sources that you can inflict damage on enemies. You can also inflict damage on enemies with contact damage, but it's terrible as it only deals 1 damage to an enemy. So it's one of the prime causes of actually dying against bosses when it feels like you've dealt a lot of damage to them, because sometimes you can end up dealing contact damage a couple of times, and so you assume you're dealing full damage, but you're basically doing next to nothing to them.
Okay, I'm gonna be a bit quiet here now, as I am now on the mini-boss, and this is gonna...
So this mini-boss is the core. I think this is, on measure, the most difficult fight in the game. You need to destroy these 4 blue crystals. They have 36 health each. So ideally you want to get a rocket boost on them as the fight starts, and then 5 rolling attacks each on them. But they deal a full heart of damage every time you make contact, so what we want to do is try and contact the yellow rings surrounding the stage as much as possible instead, so they only deal half a heart of damage. And... go on. Okay, just duck and wait for it to come around.
Yeah, I went very cautious there, as that was getting very close to death.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
that
a health
was...
refill in the next room.
Yeah, so that was dangerous at the end there, but overall, just getting a first try clear of that mini-boss is definitely commendable, so congratulations there.
Thank you.
And definitely want to take as much health here as possible. So,
And you can also get,
with the
it
health...
can get quite laggy here as well, due to...
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what those enemies are, I usually avoid them. But if they get to shoot off their lasers, then they can lag the game quite a bit.
Yeah. So, the final couple of corridors here lead up to the final boss of the run, in which Luke is currently what I like to call, was 2 hits down. The thing about the final boss is that he only deals damage in full heart increments. You may want to take a tactical death on the enemy outside the room.
Yeah, it would have been faster, but I wasn't
fine.
exactly sure where the checkpoint was, so I didn't want to risk accidentally dying before the checkpoint.
Once you've triggered the robot bird coming towards you, you've pretty much hit the checkpoint before the boss.
So that was an intentional death right there.
Yeah, so taking a tactical death on the boss, because as I mentioned, this guy only deals damage in full heart increments, so being that entering the boss with full health means you have 7 hearts, you can essentially take 7 hits before dying against this boss. And this is the only boss in the game where the main... well, aside from the assembly bot, we want to deal damage against this guy with the sword swipe, because rolling attacking into this guy is not a good idea, as his hitbox is large enough that it will cause damage to us if we try and roll attack into him. If he inflicts damage on us, though, then we have enough iframes to generally get 2 rolling attacks in every time he inflicts damage, which can hopefully mitigate the time loss in the fight. Time is when the boss explodes. I assume Luke's just going to call that when the boss dies.
Yep, if I remember. Time.
Yo, congrats, man.
Thank you. 26 something. I don't know what it was. I was one hit away.
22 on my screen.
Okay. I was literally one hit away when I was like, I think I'm probably gonna forget, and then right then he died. Jeez. That was the thing.
That was an entertaining run, though. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for the commentary. That made it a lot easier. Yeah, took some bad deaths there, but honestly, I got first try crystals. That makes me happy. I didn't game over unintentionally.
Yeah, the core is a very difficult boss, so definitely props to clearing that boss first try.
Yeah, like if I had to have trouble on any of the bosses, like that one is the one I have the least trouble on, other than probably boxing axle gear. So, yeah. So this is a great run. I definitely recommend checking it out. It is kind of hard. I started out on easy, where you have to do less stages, and the final boss for easy is boxing axle gear, which is tough, but I think it's a nice starting run. It's a lot shorter. How much shorter is it? It's like 10 minutes or something like that? Or
if we're comparing like the world record times, it's about 6 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
Like 5-6 minutes shorter.
Yeah, it's a nice run. I definitely recommend checking it out. Even if you don't have a SNES, Japanese copies are actually pretty cheap, aren't they?
Yes, they are relatively cheap, yeah. You can probably pick up a Japanese copy of this game for not much more than, I want to say, $40.
Yeah, no, it's a lot cheaper than the American copy, and honestly, I don't even know if there are any differences other than dialogue, which you don't even read.
Yeah, there are no differences in versions, so they're both directly analogous to each other.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend checking it out. If you do check out this run, then talk to Draco. He knows everything there is to know about this game, at least that I know of. He taught me how to run this game at I started running it before SGDQ 2017, and then you helped me a lot at SGDQ 2017, which was great, because I finally got a good idea of actually how to be good at this game. And I still have a lot of time to save on this. Like, my PB is 22... What is it? It's 22-something. 22-25, and that can come down quite a bit.
You gotta go for that sub 20, man.
Oh, yeah. No, sub 20 is like the ultimate goal right now for Sparkster on normal. But yeah, it's a great game. Even just casual, I recommend trying it out. It's a fun game.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. And like as Luke mentioned, for anyone who is interested in checking out this game or Rocket Knight speedrunning in general, we actually have a Rocket Knight speedrunning Discord server now, so anyone who is at all interested, do just get in touch with me if you like, and I can provide you with a link to the server.
And that covers all the Rocket Knight games, right? So like Genesis Rocket Knight Adventures, Genesis Sparkster, and Sparkster.
Yeah, and it's just that the other games in the series are kind of dead right now.
Yeah. This one's the most popular, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, by quite a long shot.
Okay.
But thank you very much for having us in this marathon.
Yeah, no, this has been great. My first marathon, so... Not first marathon I've watched her, but first marathon I've been in, so...
Oh, you guys are very welcome. Again, guys, thank you very much. Give these guys an awesome follow. The Sparksters, we have Draco Dan with great commentary as usual. Cannot ask for anything better. And of course, Courier Luke, the new generation of Sparkster. So give them both a follow. So what we're going to do is take a quick intermission here and bring on the speed run that you guys kicked butt at to bring to this marathon. It is a hat in time, any percent, with Courier Luke right here.
And no
so
rest for the
we'll be
wicked.
back in just a few moments.
I'm gonna be that awkward person that asks, we're still live on stream, so I start setting up for
I'm gonna do the intermission, so I will kill the audio. But
okay. Oh, we're still live? What?
No, it's over.
It's over.
I'll just take the opportunity then to say thank you to everyone watching, and we'll see you hopefully throughout the rest of the marathon. A lot of good games coming up, so please do keep watching.